Welcome to the Early Risers Club Presents podcast. We originally recorded these episodes of Season 1 in March of 2020 at the very beginning of the coronavirus pandemic and lockdown. We hope you enjoy the conversations we had with the artists as we talk about the stories behind the songs and the process that went into making them.
I'm rolling.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right. We're doing it.
Welcome to the Early Risers Club Presents with
me, Carley Baer.
and I'm Bruce Butkovich, coffee in hand.
Oh, yes.
Look, we really don't know what we're doing. We just had this crazy idea to talk about songs and play some songs on Steel Ridge Radio. For those who are not early risers, you probably never see us early in the morning, but usually we're kind of the first ones awake-ish.
I'm usually awake by like 7:30.
Yeah, it's a quiet time because no one's up. But then, we have our regulars, the other early risers that trickle in and round out the cast.
Yeah, it's become a pretty fun little parade.
Yeah, and if we don't completely train wreck whatever this thing is we're doing, then maybe we'll have guests. But at least for now, we're just going to play some songs and maybe talk about some songs and try to kind of expand on the process. Because that's one of the hardest things that we found is how do you explain what goes on at these festivals?
A bunch of songwriters come from everywhere, and they're hosted in this adorable roadside motel called the Holiday Music Motel. You all arrive on a Sunday, and that first night you stand in a circle and there's a Jameson whiskey bottle in the middle, and you spin it. And whoever it lands on is your first writing partner, and then whoever they spin, whoever it lands on, that's your second writing partner. So the three of you then have 24 hours, ostensibly, to go and write and record a song. And then the next night you do it all again.
Yeah, there's so much to it, because you do it for the first 3 nights, but you have more than 24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours is like the guideline. Like, you have as much time as you need.
But you try to get them done.
If you don't want to start building a backlog, you have to, you're going to get a new group the next day.
Yeah.
But in the interim, you're writing, you're recording, you eat dinner. And before you do the next spin, everybody gets together and they listen to everything that's been done so far. So it's kind of cool. You kind of get to hear, because you're hearing all of these melodies and, riffs and stuff through the halls. Like, the whole motel is just pulsating with these tunes as they're being crafted. And so it's interesting to then sit and listening and then hear like the fleshed out song and be like, oh yeah, okay.
So, since between us, you are the veteran holiday songwriter, you pick a song first to play.
Pick a song first to play.
Yeah. Tell a story about it. Like, how did you get roped in or turned on to the festival? And was it because of a song or?
So the way that I got involved was that I happened to know Victoria Vox from doing shows around the Milwaukee area. So we just kind of stayed in touch. She did this thing called February Album Writing Month. So I did that in 2008 and met Charlie Cheney. I knew that they knew each other. I kind of just kept in touch with both of them. And so I was hearing about it. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So I just emailed Melanie Jane and I was like, hey, can I be a part of your festival? I remember being really nervous because I wasn't sure what I was in for. When you drive into town, there's a Walgreens. I pulled over and I stopped and I bought a notebook and a pen. And then I just sat in the parking lot for like 5-10 minutes, just like gathering up the nerve to like go into this thing that I had no idea what it was. And so I got there and really it's a blur. Like, it's really just because of like journal entries and other people's, documentations that I even remember anything from that year. But the one thing I really do remember is this song. Back then, listening sessions happened on the front lawn. So they'd set up like a PA and everyone would go in and get their food. And this was like, Steel Ridge was huge back then. So I remember sitting on the lawn and I remember eating food and, you know, just listening to and this song in particular, I don't know what it was about this song, but I was just like suddenly struck with like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe I'm doing this with all these amazing people. God, everybody here is so amazing. And so that moment just really stuck with me. And to this day, whenever this song pops up on Steelbridge Radio, I'm like, oh, I remember.
Fond memories.
Fond memories.
So who all co-wrote this song, do you know? Do you have all that?
I do. So Andrea Whitkins, Greg Rotek, Danielle French, and Angelo DiAugustine were the writers. This is High Road.
You could take a high-speed train. I will take an air balloon. You could take a crosstown bus and meet me halfway. losing light, take a shot in the dark, losing light, take a shot in the dark.
So that was High Road by Andrea Witkins, Greg Rotek, Danielle French, and Angelo DiAugustine, and also featuring, who did I say? Rick Wood played bass on that, and Dano Stoffels on drums.
Nice. Yeah, I've never heard that version. I've only heard the version that Andrea has on one of her EPs.
Yeah, it'll be fun to compare and contrast outside versions versus inside versions as we get this whole thing dialed in. But yeah, that song, it was before I knew anybody, which is funny to think of now because like Andrea and Greg and Danielle are such dear friends. But at the time I had no idea who anybody was, and I just really loved that song.
Yeah, it's a good memory. Mm-hmm. Good first song impression.
Yeah, see, now you had an advantage in knowing James Hall previously too. Like he brought you in to the festival, so you already kind of had like a frame of reference. So why don't you tell your origin story?
Yeah, so James and I have been playing together since 2005 or 6. And he started coming up to the festivals a little while after we started playing together, 07 or 08 or something like that. So, yeah, he would start disappearing and going to this place and writing songs. He'd come back, and, that just happened for years. But I could just never really peel myself away from like what I was doing at the time. I owned a recording studio, and just the grind of trying to keep that afloat, I could never rationalize like, oh, I'm going to take a week off and go do this thing. It's like, go for a week? I couldn't comprehend it at the time. But, eventually I did make it up there. As soon as the studio closed, like the next month was Dark Songs, and I was up there, and I haven't left. But, throughout those years before I made it up there, I met so many other people associated with the festivals. Like, I'd played with Eric McFadden a few times, had met like Victoria Vox, Adam McIntosh, and even Liv Mueller. So when I got up there, I wasn't completely isolated. I had people, a frame of reference. Plus Patrick Kelly, mm-hmm. who plays bass with James and I in our band, The Steady Wicked. He was up there as well too. So I kind of had people looking after me a little bit, especially if you're have a slight bit of social anxiety. It kind of helps if you've got a group of people mm-hmm. to kind of be around.
Mm-hmm. That would have been nice.
Taking one for the team. You're doing it the hard way. Yeah, I had training wheels. people looking out for me. But like, I can't remember the first song that I really heard from the festivals before I was involved. They would trickle in, and when James would come back from a festival, there were a couple times he tried to introduce a song he had written. We weren't the group for that at the time. But it's when that band fell apart and other, like my studio and stuff like that closed, it totally freed up everything. And so when that band actually fell apart before the studio closed, we kind of just changed directions and got offered to play shows, but we kind of didn't have a band. So I called Patrick Kelly, who played with us, and another band, and our drummer Kent, put a band together, but we didn't have songs. So I was like, hey, James, what about all these songs that you've written up in Wisconsin? And the floodgates just kind of opened. James had so much stuff that we would, songs didn't become a problem. Then it was just us playing them. And one of my favorite songs from before I came up there was Scary Music. And I remember that was from Dark Songs, maybe 2014. But I remember Patrick Kelly like texting me like, oh man, James is writing this song. It's really badass, and I'm playing bass on it. And sending me like little video clips and stuff. And it was just a great song. And I think the Steady Wicked ended up recording a version like 2 weeks after they came back, because we had just started recording our first record. And that and Bad Choices were kind of in the same pile. So we did both of those last minute. So it holds a special place for me, because it was, even though I'd been introduced to some songs, this was like on the cusp of me coming up there, I guess. I don't know. It's just a great song. Brilliant song, written by James Hall, Vincent Gates, and Mike Black. So here is Scary Music from Dark Songs 2014.
There's no use in you always falling down.
fucking love that song.
That's Scary Music, written by James Hall, Vincent Gates, and Michael Bleck, otherwise known as Digger. And also looking at the credits on that recording is James Hall on guitar and vocals, Vincent on acoustic guitar and harmony vocals, Mike Bleck on harmony vocals, Patrick Kelly bass, and Marcus Trana on drums. That was recorded with Steve Hamilton. That was when his studio was set up in the main room of the Holiday.
I just want to say about that song. I think that was the year that James and Vincent were roommates, and I was next door to them, and they are funny. They are funny when they are roomed together, and I just remember... I forget even what they were riffing on, but their door was open. It was show day. We were all getting ready for the tap show. And I just remember hearing them go like, woo, 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 girl. Woo, 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 girl. And I don't know what it was in reference to, but it cracked me up. And that's another thing that I always associate with that song.
All right, we're going to have to find the answer to that. Hey, Vince, James, what was the woo, 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 girl?
I brought it up to them in the past, and they don't remember it the way that I do.
Oh.
It's sort of one of those things. It's like it makes an impact on you, but not on anyone else, apparently. So, never mind.
Yeah. Dying on the vine, little ideas and earworms, just not able to make it. All right. So, what do you have next up on your playlist?
Oh, no, hang on a second. You froze.
So we're back-ish. Probably edited out a chunk that you just don't even know about.
Yep.
So, so Carly, do you have another song?
I do. So when we were talking about song lists, I get so excited about so many songs that it was really hard for me to narrow things down. And then you showed me your list, and that sort of gave me some guidance, because you had a very sort of narrative arc to the ones that you picked. And so I was like, oh, that's a good call, Bruce. So went from the first song that made an impact on me before I knew anything about anything. This is one of the first co-writes that I did that actually hung around. None of my co-writes from my first year made it to the album. I'm not even sure if any recordings still exist. But the second year, 2013, I did a bunch, and a bunch of it made it onto the record, which was really cool. But this one specifically was a turning point, I think, in just the relationships, the friendships that started forming. So I spun... Oh, let's see. It was Anna Sachs, Megan Owens, Mojo Perry, and me. And I'm trying to remember why there were four of us. If we were the leftovers at the end of the spin, or if there were just so many of us that they started putting foursomes together instead of threesomes. But anyway, it was the four of us. And Mojo was there for the first little bit, and then he kind of disappeared. But he had this one really key part in the song that we kept. The three of us kept writing. We were around the fire pit out front, and we were writing, and it was kind of this sweet little folky little ballady type thing, and it was fine. But I remember none of us were particularly excited about it. It was just kind of okay, well, we're doing it, so whatever. We got to a point where it's okay, let's put it down, let's revisit it tomorrow, which is a thing that happens a lot, and sometimes it doesn't feel like the best decision, but it is usually beneficial. If you hit a wall with your song, it's actually really helpful sometimes to just put it down, sleep on it, whatever, come back, and usually whatever obstacle you're facing will dissolve. So we put it down, came back the next day, still weren't really feeling connected to it, and then it was well, why don't we sort of kick it up a little bit, and instead of a ballad, let's make it a foot-stomping sort of hoedown type thing. So right there, it just got this infusion of energy. But it was still missing something, so we brought it to Pat, and we were like, Pat, what does this song need? And he was like, well, you should get a gospel choir in the background. I was like, oh, okay.
Huh.
How do we do that? And he's like, oh, you should talk to Andrea. And of course, Anna and Megan knew Andrea, but this is the first time that I was oh, okay, let's get Andrea. And so we brought Andrea on board, and that's kind of when it just took off. And so it was we recruited a bunch of people in the lobby. It was Manny Sanchez, Vincent Gates, Oh gosh, I shouldn't even try and recount everybody because I'm never going to remember who all was there. Robin Benneman playing slide guitar. I remember we're standing in a circle in the lobby. We're like, we need a bass player. And Greg Rotek at that moment was like turning the corner to run up the stairs. And it was like, Greg, I don't know who Greg is. Greg, come play bass on this song.
Perfect.
And he was like, oh yeah, hell yeah. And so he got on board, and just like the energy in the studio was just so much fun. It just became this, it went from being this sort of like, whatever, to just this rousing, feel good, like I think we called it like the old bridge revival or something like that.
Nice.
So yeah, so this is The Bridge Will Bring Us Home by me and Anna Sachs and Megan Owens and Mojo Perry. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
When you feel you're running out of time, the world can turn on around. Everything will look the same, you just step on a different plane. Only thing that stays the same is change. There are places in this life you must go. Some are high, some are low. So take comfort for when you journey in. Bridge will be there to bring you home again. Bridge will be there to bring you home again.
Yeah, you can hear the excitement, the energy.
Nice.
In that
putting all that
recording.
clapping in, and
Hamilton just recorded it and threw it on the end there, but that was definitely us just being like, woo, that was awesome.
so who all played on that?
So that was written by me, Megan Owens, Anna Sachs, and Mojo Perry, and then me on acoustic guitar and lead vocals, Robin Benneman on slide guitar, Anna Sachs, Megan Owens also on lead vocals, and then the choir was Manny Sanchez, Vincent Gates, Victoria Voss, Andrea Witkins, Sarvan Mangiat, and James Hall, and then Greg Rotek on bass, who's not actually on the list. I need to fix that.
And that's one of the things I like about listening to other people's like playlists of songs, because you're going to pick something different that I don't know or might not necessarily lean towards, or I've never heard that song before, so it's nice to hear that and then hear the story behind it. The variety in the styles is what's really fun as a listener, but also as a writer and a player. Like, you get exposed to different stuff that you just normally wouldn't, you know?
Right.
Like, get outside of your wheelhouse, and it's fun if you completely lean into it and find yourself in a situation that is completely foreign, like, well, where can this go? Like, well, where will you allow yourself to go?
Right, yeah. I think that's why I keep coming back, and I'm sure that's probably why most of us keep coming back, is that like the amount of growth that you experience when you are put in a situation where you're exposed to all these different styles and influences. You can't help but adapt, and so you find yourself trying new things and taking chances, and I can't tell you the amount of times that I've been in a group and there's an idea floating around and it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm not really feeling like that's something that I personally would do. But when you release yourself and your expectations and, when you sort of give yourself over to the process and you let yourself take that chance, it's amazing what can happen.
And it's kind of hard to even find, like, what is the boundary? Because in a lot of ways, you're limited by the people that you're with. But then also the chances and the creativity within that group. And for my first festival for Dark Songs, I think of it as like the perfect festival for me to get introduced to it, because just the theme of Dark Songs, to me at least, is a little more open-ended. Like you could sing about anything. You're not necessarily stuck to a particular subject matter. Just make it dark. Oh, that's easy. That's easy. But with the second song that I was going to play is something I actually co-wrote. It was my second co-write, but it was a boundary pusher. Like, I think we were in listening before the second bottle spin of the week, and I guess we were listening to I can't even remember if something had been recorded yet from the previous day, or if we were listening to music from the year before. But Pat McDonald was talking about, I guess, like pushing the boundaries or something. I can't remember exactly, but he said something and it just stuck in my head, and it may have been saying "fuck yeah." I just remember that stuck in my head for whatever reason. And so my bottle spin later that night was with Kim Manning and Wade Koisman. And we wrote a song called Fuck Yeah, Halloween. I can't remember exactly how it even started. Like, me and Wade, like, one of us had like a riff idea, which kind of became his bass part. And then I do remember, I think the idea for Fuck Yeah and the Halloween part was something I jumped on because of whatever Pat had said in the tambourine listening. I was like, okay, is this legal? Can we do it like this? And I was just like offhandedly probably sung, a rough part of that chorus or that line, but everyone seemed to like it. So it modified and it changed and it got better. And Kim and Wade, if you're listening and I'm completely wrong, it was a long time ago, but it was something like that. But the rest of the song came together really, really easily. It was fun to like dogpile on ideas. Once you can go, as far as fuck yeah, Halloween, that's the hook. Okay, kind of anything is appropriate at that point. And yeah, we just turned it into a fun little dancey-ish number.
Oh, it's definitely dancey.
And it has this little, I envisioned a Michael Jackson Thriller type of little bridge breakdown. So the bridge that we have is somewhat like that. Yeah, it was fun. It was really great to do. Fuck yeah, Halloween.
Yeah.
Trick or treat, woo! Fuck yeah! Bring
Fuck yeah.
Fuck Yeah, Halloween, written by Kim Manning, Wade Koisman, and myself. I am Bruce Butkovich, if you did not know that. Kim Manning on vocals, Wade on stand-up bass. I played electric guitar, keyboards, drum programming. Jared Kaczynski on sax and vocals.
Ugh, Jared.
Oh, Jared. Matt Spottle on drums and clavinet. And Barrett Taskey on trombone and vocals. And
Shut up, Barrett.
Shut up, Barrett. And a whole bunch of, a whole gaggle of people on background vocals. Too many to name. I love you, but no. That was recorded in rear reception at the Tambo with Teve Myth. Barrett and Teve probably tag team that one as well. But yeah, so that was my second co-write at my first ever festival.
Which was?
Dark Songs 2015. Yeah, that song just helped me really push the boundaries of what you could do there. You know, because as a writer, you're coming in and, you know, if you're not quite sure what you can do, once you find out, it's very freeing.
Right.
And then
anything goes.
Yeah, and because you can also get into a mode of, well, let me see how far I can push it. How crazy can I get? When you have a sandbox that big with people that want to play in this sandbox with all this fun stuff, it's great. It's you know, not everything is gold and awesome and fantastic, but when you do get something that's fun and you see it makes other people happy or smile, that's the best part.
I would actually say that, yeah, if it's fun and something you're excited about, then that's definitely the best. But I think even the ones that you're not so excited about, like, everything is growth in disguise. Everything that you encounter up there, at least in my experience, even the things that I'm like, oh man, everything makes you better.
Oh, absolutely.
And then if you're excited about it, then even better.
We'll have to add another segment to the ongoing show of, you know, the deeper messages of the Holiday Music Motel and the festivals of Sturgeon Bay and how their life transforming and altering and crippling all at the same time.
I mean, really, like, there's so much there.
Fertile ground. So,
how you doing, Bruce? How you holding up?
Good. I've moved on from coffee to LaCroix, because that's my drink of choice. I like the bubbles.
Bubbles are nice.
I'm getting over just knowing that I ramble and I say awkward things.
Bruce, you're not in a recording studio. You're sitting with me.
That's right.
At the table in the diner.
Diner talk. Early Risers Club.
Early Risers Club, and we're still in our pajamas. I literally am still in my pajamas because I haven't left my house in 3 days. Yeah, safe place. Safe place. Oh, and I will just say Sam Lyons, who will be appearing on the show, just texted. Oh yeah?
Yeah, so we're gonna talk soon.
Sam Lyons is my mom. Did you know that?
I'm not surprised.
I don't know. We should maybe save that story for when he's here to corroborate.
Yeah, let's save that. Maybe we should grab another song.
Yeah, let's do that. Nice segue, Bruce. See, you got this in the bag.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So this next song that I chose is one that I rock out to this song. It's like a feel good for me anyway. It's just got this like driving on a summer day with the windows down on an open road kind of feel to it. And this is Never Gonna Let It Go by Liv Mueller and Jim McKeever, two also extremely dear friends that I've gotten to know over the years. The two of them together, sometimes it's absurd, but it's always brilliant. And I think the song is a really good example of just how hard they both rock.
Nice. All right, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Never Gonna Let It Go. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Never Gonna Let It Go. Here it goes. And go.
Sparkle and fade with grace as we wither away. The tree is now
That was Never Gonna Let It Go by Liv Mueller and Jim McKeever. And that also had Dan Smurs on drums and John Canis on the bass.
So that was Steel Bridge Songfest 2015.
Oh my gosh, all these songs are pre-Bruce, I just realized.
Yeah, some of those are new to me.
That wasn't on purpose.
No, that's okay. That's all right. You've got seniority. You're...
Don't say it.
You're... Okay. So, we got one more song left in our little 6-song rock block, but it's not really a rocker. So going back to my theme of pushing the boundaries and seeing what we can do, or what are these festivals about? You know, just go and write a song and let's just sit around the campfire and just kumbaya. But this next song was written at my first festival, Dark Songs 2015. I didn't have anything to do with it, but it really showed me that you can do anything. And I just happened to work in theater in Atlanta. I build props in town for a theater called the Alliance Theater. And this next song is basically a musical theater piece called Ave Mortis. and Carley Baer just happens to be a co-writer on it, I believe.
Avis Mortus.
Avis Mortus. Okay, I don't know.
That's okay. We didn't either.
I don't speak Roman.
Oh my gosh. If you have any questions about this song, feel free to ask.
Well, I just thought it was brilliant, that this could happen. Like, wow, you can write this kind of a song and it's okay. Someone let this happen and said, do it. This is a good idea. So yeah, just open the floodgates of possibilities for me.
Oh, that's great.
But I don't know anything about it other than my appreciation for it. So you can fill in the blanks.
Well, so I was rock and roll nanny at the time. I was watching my niece, who was 2 years old, and I was getting Mira ready for we were going to go to the park or something. And as I was getting the finishing touches of whatever we needed to leave the house, I had to run back downstairs to my room, and I turned the corner on the landing, and there at the bottom of the stairs I just saw this dead bird just laying there. And the cat had brought it in, and I guess had developed an affinity for me because, that's like cats. When they love you, they leave you grotesque little presents. And it was right before Dark Songs, and I was like, oh man. And Andrea and Sugar and I had talked previously about doing a requiem, like all like the pieces of it, because there's different movements in a requiem. They're usually like hour-long compositions. And so I was like, oh man, Requiem for a Dead Bird, that's perfect for Dark Songs. So I brought that to them when we all assembled like a couple weeks later, and they're like, yeah, for sure. So we're going through like a Google Translate Latin, and we're trying to figure out phrases that sound like they might make sense. And we work it all out, and it was me, Sugar, Andrea, and then James Hall got involved. And I forget how the ending happened, but maybe we should just listen to it.
So, Avis Mortus?
Mm-hmm.
Yay me. Okay, I pronounced it right.
Spiritus ventus liberame avis ulucres. Avis mortis, avis mortis, avis mortis, requiem, suaviter canere,
Avis mortis requiem, requiem.
That is just so good.
Oh my gosh.
That's just so good. And the fact that it's just Andrea on piano and then you and Sugar Ransom and all three of you singing, but that's it. It's just so perfect.
Well, we had a lot of help. So Krista Ebert, actually, Uno Lady, was the high sort of wafting.
Is she on there as well?
She is on there. She symbolizes the bird.
Oh.
And then James Hall really sort of carried the low end on that. But then it was funny because we wrote the whole ending, or we finished the song, and then somehow the little community theater Jesus Christ Superstar-esque, like Avis Mortis, Avis, that thing happened, and I remember Sugar was not so excited about that idea, but it was kind of like once the genie was out of the bottle, we couldn't get it back in.
Yeah.
Like once that idea existed, it was like, well, that's just part of it now. So that's how that happened. It was a ton of fun.
I just remember listening at the Tambo when that first came on, because each section just grows and changes. It's like, where's this going to go now? And especially once it gets to the end, and it's just all, just that kind of uplifting and its own version of like getting into a rave, it's like, whoa, what the hell is going on? And I have broken memories of it being performed at the Third Avenue Playhouse, which, for listeners who don't know anything about these festivals, we write songs at the beginning of the week, and then we perform them at the end of the week. All the new songs at 2 nights on a Friday and Saturday night. And it's interesting to see how songs take on a life of their own, from, the idea to the writing to the recording and then the performance. Mm-hmm. And each little step along the way can kind of give you a bigger picture. Ramblin' Bruce. There we go again. But yeah, I love that song. Like I said, it was a great introduction, or it kind of solidified and confirmed a little bit more just how far you can go at these festivals. So
that's great. I had no idea. That's really cool to know.
That's my little Bruce story.
Little Bruce story.
Yeah, but that's a long 6-song playlist, not a podcast show on Steel Bridge Radio that we're attempting. Maybe
we've got ideas. And so we're going to keep fleshing them out as best we can. This is sort of us dipping our toes in the water, so to speak, because we've got the time and we've got the raw material. And we do this anyway 3 times a year at the diner table.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? We all need some distractions at different times. So Steel Bridge Radio is a good place for it. We also would like to expand the listenership of Steel Bridge Radio itself for all the artists and writers that are already involved with it. We know what it is, but if we can find a way to spread it beyond ourselves. What's the count? 1,300 songs?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Something like that over all these years. There's so much good music. And we're just thinking of expanding on some of those songs, picking songs we like, maybe talking about them, just for just a deeper look, behind the curtain look of some of the songs. So yeah, 6 songs, and our rambling is probably at least over an hour of Steel Bridge Radio time.
We'll get it down. We'll chop it up. We'll make it fit. But the future looks bright. We've got other songwriters gonna get involved. We've got segments like Died on the Vine and Spilling the Beans and all kinds of things in the works that we're excited to explore.
It could be fun. It could be horrible. You may beg us to stop.
We're gonna set up an email address so that you can beg us to stop. Until next time, assuming that there's a next time, I'm Carley Baer.
I'm Bruce Butkovich.
And this is Early Risers Club Presents. Early Risers Club Presents is brought to you by the Holiday Music Motel in beautiful Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin, and by SteelBridgeRadio.com.